Hey, you jiving yet? Welcome to So Big Movies. My name is Len Archibald, and welcome to the Blaxploitation Hour. This week is a real treat and a righteous bit of movie history. Now, according to Hollywood history, Shaft was the first black Hollywood film to gain critical and financial acclaim, right? Wrong! There are some films out there that I would consider proto-blaxploitation. These are films that are right on the fringe, whether it's the timeline they were released or really what genre classification people recognize the film as. This brings us to Comes to Harlem, a movie that doesn't get talked about enough, and I am going to make it my mission to convince as many people as possible as to how fucking awesome this movie is. Comes to Harlem, released in 1970 from United Artists, is a literal film noir, a hard-nosed detective story with comedic flourishes that could only be revealed through the black experience. The film was directed and co-written by the incomparable Ossie Davis. And if you don't know who Ossie Davis is, shit. Rayford Chapman Ossie Davis is one of the most towering and important figures in black media, period, full stop. As an actor, writer, director, and activist, Davis touched millions of lives with his booming bass voice, imposing stature, and frankly, fantastic fucking thespianship. Thespianship. Is that a word? Fuck it. It is now. As a filmmaker, Davis's credits include Comes to Harlem, Black Girl, and Gordon's War. Ossie Davis's screen credits are way too numerous to count. Davis was one of the notable voices in the rise of black filmmaking, along with Melvin Van Peebles and Gordon Parks. But if you've seen him in anything, it was probably in one of these: Do the Right Thing, Grumpy Old Men, Dr. Dolittle, The Stand, Bubba Hotep, or some of the near 100 other acting credits that he had. Davis experienced racism when the KKK threatened to shoot his father, whose job they felt was too advanced for a black man to have. Why are people so threatened over educated people of color? Davis attended Howard University as his parents wished, but he dropped out to pursue acting, his career beginning in 1939 with the Rose McClendon Players in Harlem. During World War II, Davis served in the United States Army in the Medical Corps. He made his film debut in 1950 in the Sidney Poitier film No Way Out. It was important to Davis to play dignified black characters and wanted to use the example of Sidney Poitier as a roadmap to play non-stereotypical characters. Playing anything from a butler to a porter for Davis was going to be portrayed not as black caricatures, but real people. Davis was one of the few black actors, along with Sidney Poitier and Bill Cosby, to find commercial success while avoiding stereotypical roles prior to 1970, which also included a significant role in the 1965 movie The Hill alongside Sean Connery, plus roles in The Cardinal and The Scalp Hunters. And again, an amazing title for a movie. I need to watch that. Davis found recognition late in his life, working in several of Spike Lee's movies, including School Days, Do the Right Thing, Jungle Fever, She Hate Me, and Get on the Bus. And he voiced Nancy the Spider on Sesame Street. Ossie Davis and his longtime wife, actress Ruby Dee, were heavily into civil rights and were close with Jesse Jackson, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King. They participated in the organization of the 1963 Civil Rights March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom and served as its MCs. Davis, alongside Ahmed Osman, delivered the eulogy at the funeral of Malcolm X, parts of which he reread at the conclusion of Spike Lee's Malcolm X in 1992. Davis also delivered a riveting tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. at a memorial in New York Central Park the day after King was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. In 1989, Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee were named to the NAACP Image Awards Hall of Fame. In 1994, Davis was inducted into the American Theater Hall of Fame. In 1995, he and Ruby Dee were awarded the National Medal of Arts. In 2004, they were both recipients of the prestigious Kennedy Center Honors. Comes to Harlem was based on the novel of the same name, written by Chester Himes, who has a hell of a life story. When he was about 12 years old, Chester's mother made him sit out a gunpowder demonstration that he and his brother Joseph Jr. were supposed to conduct during a school assembly as punishment for misbehaving. Working alone, Joseph mixed the chemicals and they exploded in his face. Rushed to the nearest hospital, the blinded boy was refused treatment because of Jim Crow laws. This greatly affected Himes' worldview on race relations. Himes attended Ohio State University, but was expelled after a prank. In 1928, he was arrested and sentenced to jail and hard labor for 20 to 25 years for armed robbery, and sent to Ohio Penitentiary, where he began writing short stories, having them published in national magazines. Himes stated that writing in prison and being published was a way to earn respect from guards and fellow inmates, as well as to avoid violence. His first stories appeared in 1931 in The Bronzeman and starting in 1934 in Esquire magazine. His story To What Red Hell, as well as his novel Cast the First Stone, dealt with the catastrophic prison fire Himes witnessed at Ohio Penitentiary in 1930. In 1934, Himes was transferred to London Prison Farm and in April 1936 was released on parole to his mother's custody for good behavior. Following his release, he worked at part-time jobs while continuing to write. During this period, he came into contact with the infamous Langston Hughes, who facilitated Himes' entry into the world of literature and publishing. Himes spent time in Los Angeles in the 40s, working as a screenwriter, but also producing two novels, If He Hollers, Let Him Go, and The Lonely Crusade. He also provided analysis of the Zoot Suit riots for The Crisis, the magazine of the NAACP. Himes was famously terminated as a screenwriter for Warner Brothers when Jack L. Warner found out about him and said, "I don't want no niggers on my lot." And people wonder while we harp on about representation. By 1954, Chester Himes was living in Paris, enjoying time with intellectuals and away from racist douche nodules like Jack L. Warner. Himes met Marshall Duchamel, the editor of Série Noire, the Black series, which had popularized American hard-boiled detective writing in France. Duchamel suggested Himes turn to writing detective fiction, but Himes stated he had no knowledge of how to do so. Duchamel told him to simply start with a bizarre incident and see where that took him, while emulating the terse writing style of Dashiell Hammett and Raymond Chandler, the masters of the hard-boiled detective genre. That gave Himes everything he needed, and 9 months later, we had multiple stories of two black New York police detectives, Gravedigger Jones and Coffin Ed Johnson, whose names suggest the nature of their police methods and reputation. Ossie Davis adapted Comes to Harlem with Arnold Pearl, playwright, screenwriter, television producer, and television writer who worked on shows such as The Big Story, Naked City, The Doctors and the Nurses, East Side, West Side, and NYPD, which he created with David Susskind. At the time of Pearl's death in 1971, he had been collaborating with James Baldwin on the documentary film Malcolm X in 1972, and he was nominated posthumously for the Academy Award for Best Documentary Feature. Pearl's film provided the skeleton for Spike Lee to create the powerful Malcolm X in 1992. And I am still pissed Denzel Washington lost to Al Pacino for Best Actor. I hold grudges, man. So what do we have here? A hard-nosed, violent detective story with so many right-ons that if you played a drinking game with the movie's running gag, you wouldn't just die of alcohol poisoning, but your kidney and liver would put into practice stand your ground laws and rise up in self-defense. It's definitely a good thing that I don't drink. but I'm gonna get stoned instead. Kicking things off before we even get to the credits is the righteous title song, Ain't Now, But It's Gonna Be.
Ain't now, but it's gonna be black enough for me.
Lyrics written by Ossie Davis himself and powerfully sung by Melba Moore, a multi-award winner who grew up in Harlem and began her music career in 1967 as Dion in the original cast of the musical Hair. In 1970, she won a Tony Award for Best Performance by a featured actress in a musical for her portrayal of Ludi Belle in Purdy. During her career, her music would bounce in and out of the top R&B charts in the US and the UK. She still performs, mostly gospel, to this day. And she belts the holy ghost out of this song, while we are treated to one of the most 1970s intro credits of all time, as we follow a Rolls Royce stunting his way down the Harlem streets, and just like with Shaft, the opening song and introduction to Harlem as its own character gives the movie life and sets up expectations for what kind of environment the audience will be investing in. This Harlem is full of life, with busy streets, farmers markets, and the famed Apollo Theater staring us down. I miss these kind of credits. The movie's songs and score was written and conducted by Canadian Galt McDermott from Montreal, Quebec. Oh, he's from Quebec. I guess I'll give him a pass this one time. And I guess I really have to, because Galt didn't just produce the score for this film, but wrote the music for the insanely successful Hair, which opened on Broadway and was adapted into a successful film of its own right, with 3 of Galt's songs hitting #1 on the charts: Aquarius, Let the Sunshine In, Good Morning Starshine, and the title song Hair. McDermott's work has been sampled in hip-hop by everyone from Run DMC to Busta Rhymes to DJ Premier to MF Doom. And this opening song just works. Apart from serving as a perfect accompaniment to the opening credits, it does a great job helping to introduce this world of Harlem through song. The movie's cinematographer was Gerald Hirschfield, who has several big-name movies under his belt, such as Coma, Young Frankenstein, Diary of a Mad Housewife, and The Car. He has a great eye, and those opening credits really show off some of his great compositions. The Rolls Royce finally parks, and the way the crowd attacks the car, you would think it was Obama about to exit. Watching from across the street is the local neighborhood watch, Black Power Association. And emerging like Missy Elliott, also not able to stand the rain, is Reverend Deke O'Malley, played by the awesome Calvin Lockhart. Lockhart, of Bohemian descent, made his Broadway debut in 1960 before moving to Italy to start his own theater company and landed various roles in British television and film. Lockhart's first major screen role was in 1968's Joanna, about a London-based interracial romance. He would later appear in the notorious Myra Breckinridge. Lockhart's first lead role in a film was in Halls of Anger, as a former basketball star who becomes vice principal of an inner-city high school about to be integrated with white students. In 1974, Lockhart became an actor in residence at the Royal Shakespeare Company in Stratford. In the 1980s, he was a guest star for 7 episodes in the primetime soap opera Dynasty, playing Jonathan Lake, and appeared in Coming to America. As a horror fan, he was very familiar to me as the millionaire big game hunter in The Beast Must Die, and my favorite part of Predator 2 as King Willie.
This is Dreadman. Truly dread. His foundation lied in the holy mountain. Selah.
Stopping a local pickpocket dead, or not so dead, in his tracks are Harlem detectives and everyone's uncles, Gravedigger Jones and Coffin Ed Johnson, played by Godfrey Cambridge and Raymond St. Jacques. Godfrey Cambridge is celebrated as one of America's premier comedians, right up there with Bill Cosby in the 1960s. Cambridge studied medicine for 3 years before dropping out to pursue a career in acting. In 1961, he received an Obie Award for his role in Jean Genet's The Blacks. Cambridge received a 1962 Tony Award nomination as part of the original cast of Purlie Victorious, a play written and starring Ossie Davis. Apart from his stand-up success and Comes to Harlem, Cambridge also appeared in The Last Angry Man, The President's Analyst, Watermelon Man. Watch it before you judge. Cambridge has been in everything from Comeback Charleston Blue, Bye Bye Braverman, Friday Foster, Beware the Blob, The Dick Van Dyke Show, and Car 54 Where Are You? Raymond St. Jacques was an actor, director, and producer whose career spanned over 30 years on stage, film, and television. He was the first African-American actor to appear on a regular role on a Western series, portraying Simon Blake on Rawhide. St. Jacques graduated from Yale and worked as an assistant director and fencing instructor for the American Shakespearean Festival in New Haven, Connecticut. After appearing in big parts on television, St. Jacques made his film debut in 1964's Black Like Me. In the early 1970s, St. Jacques began teaching fencing and acting at the Mafundi Institute in Watts, Los Angeles. In 1973, he produced, directed, and starred in the crime film Book of Numbers. In 1989, he played abolitionist Frederick Douglass in Edward Zwick's Glory. Both Cambridge and St. Jacques were involved in activism, St. Jacques specifically speaking of the prejudices he and other African American actors faced and difficulties in being cast in non-stereotypical, thoughtful roles, and would later work to help African Americans find work behind the camera. He publicly criticized the lack of minority actors in Star Wars and other science fiction films. So do we have Raymond St. Jacques to thank for Billy D? And that one motion pretty much gave everything we need to know about our gumshoes. Translation, no fucks given. Apparently, Reverend O'Malley is promising tickets for a Back to Africa pilgrimage, evoking memories of Marcus Garvey. But I think all he wants to do is sink a few battleships. Now we know where the money for that god-awful Rihanna movie came from. Reverend O'Malley does his best James Brown as Blackula cosplay as our detectives watch on.
How about me? How about me?
God, this guy is a total narcissist.
Am I black enough for you?
And now we have a running theme. This was right at the start of the cynical 1970s. The United States was in full-scale war mode in Vietnam, which was very unpopular, and the assassinations of JFK, RFK, Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and Fred Hampton eroded trust from the black community, so Back to Africa and other segregationist black power movements began to gain traction. And hustlers took righteous advantage of those heightened emotions. Emerging from the crowd is Uncle Bud, played by Redd Foxx. And if I have to introduce who Redd Foxx is to you, get the fuck out of my video! Redd Foxx is one of the most celebrated black actors, comedians, and figures in all of media. If you know this, then you know Redd Foxx. John Elroy Sanford, aka Redd Foxx, found success with his raunchy nightclub act before and during the Civil Rights Movement and received the moniker King of the Party Records, performing on more than 50 records in his lifetime. Foxx portrayed Fred G. Sanford on the hit television show Sanford and Son, where lines like,
"Oh, this is a big one. You hear that, Elizabeth? I'm coming to join you, honey."
And
"You big dummy,"
became part of the pop culture lexicon. Foxx has inspired everyone from Eddie Murphy to Richard Pryor, to Bernie Mac, to Dave Chappelle, to Rudy Ray Moore, and countless other stand-up acts of all races with his sharp wit, raspy delivery, and yeah, his potty mouth inspired me to say fuck a lot. Fuck. Fuck, fuck, fuckity, fuck, fuck. Thanks a lot, Redd Foxx. Deke O'Malley proclaims that vouchers for a seat on the boat Black Beauty are selling out.
People have been standing in line, waiting and waiting for a chance to get on board Black Beauty. 'Cause, brothers, we are going home.
And come on, dude. Calling the ship the Biz Marcus Garvey was right there.
Goodbye, getting robbed and cheated. Goodbye, having to live on the white man's welfare.
So we're gonna live on the black man's welfare? So much shut up and take my money, integrated with all the right-ons, and I'm going to level with you here. If you want to sell a black man tickets on a pilgrimage back to Africa, a boat is the last place I want to be. First class plane tickets only. If you're gonna hustle, go all the fucking way.
How the hell did he get a permit for this?
Lieutenant says he's a race leader. He's doing good for his people.
Let me check the sarcasm meter. Damn!
But, sir, the minimum down payment is $100.
A minimum of $100? Put me in first class, brother.
Yeah, sure.
Uncle Bud.
Uncle Bud.
$20 is gonna get you a seat on the lower decks. And we ain't talking about Star Trek. The local neighborhood watch comes to crash the party, but are met by our detectives.
Well, if it ain't King Kong Frankenstein.
One thing I hate worse than a honky pig cock. That's a nigger pig cock.
Hey, what kind of talk is that, soul brother? Don't you know that black is beautiful?
Wait for it. This is one of my favorite moments in all movies because of how physics, logic, and gravity defying it all is, and that's when it becomes clear what Ossie Davis is doing. Comes to Harlem is an action comedy, and despite the film sprinkling tidbits of black representation and black power, it is also one of the best Saturday morning cartoons put to live action ever. And that's not an insult or a slight on the picture. Davis had an eye for comedy, and there was a way he was going to present it behind this detective backdrop.
O'Malley?
Yeah.
We're from the DA's office. He wants to see you.
DA's office.
Now, let's go. Wait a minute, buddy. Let's see your credentials. Quit stalling, O'Malley.
Black Judith!
Wait till she hears about Kanye.
Okay, let's go.
But gunshots ring out as everyone is attacked by George Romero's The Crazies.
Don't you step on my rib!
If you couldn't tell, this was a black comedy. And the chase music begins. We get a 3-vehicle chase between the shooters who stole Black Beauty's cash, O'Malley and his crew, with Gravedigger and Coffin Ed right behind. And this pallbearer knows what's up. And little things like that give Davis's world life and a weird comic relatability. Also, I think he knows whenever Gravedigger and Coffin Ed are on the job, they are literally driving through a cemetery. What makes this chase work is the editing, courtesy of Robert Q. Lovett, who also worked on major projects like The Taking of Pelham 123, Just Before Dawn, A Bronx Tale, and The Cotton Club, in which he was nominated for a Best Editing Oscar. The Cotton Club? Really? And the quick cuts that switch between the chase and those involved, including the great side-eye and annoyed glances from Godfrey Cambridge and Raymond St. Jacques, help build tension. Coffin Ed is like, you gonna get out of our fucking way? Maybe we should call him Dick O'Malley. It is here we get a first draft of Nancy Reagan's Just Say No campaign. Saturday morning cartoon. Mamma mia! I don't know if he's Italian. Those soul sisters are so fine that Brother Man here is willing to risk his life. The crazies do their best to lose our detectives, and this happens. I dare any filmmaker of any race to try and reimagine this scene today and just watch the online world melt down.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
While Blaxon Pollock provides a funky fresh portrait, our local pickpocket has upgraded to sexual assault and gets run down for his troubles in another physics-defying moment. And holy fuck, those guys are way dead! Yeah, our pickpocket is also way dead. But that was kind of funny. Do you want a black comedy or a black comedy? Coffin Ed and Gravedigger makes a stop at Iris Brown's place since she is romantically linked to O'Malley. Iris is played by Judy Pace, a prolific actress who was in several blaxploitation titles like Cool Breeze with Thalmus Rasulala and The Slams with Jim Brown. Pace portrayed Vicky Fletcher on the TV series Peyton Place and Pat Waters on the ABC drama series The Young Lawyers, for which she won an Image Award for Outstanding Actress in a Drama Series. Pace is recognizable, being in everything from Sanford and Son to Kung Fu to Good Times and even the short-lived Shaft television series.
We ain't got O'Malley. We sure as hell got you.
Which means that sooner or later we got O'Malley. Is that black enough for you?
Take a drink anytime someone says that. I guarantee you will not live to the end of this retrospective.
Dig these fine vines.
These guys are just dicks. Literally and figuratively. And it's entertaining as hell.
Bless Jesus. Another couple of inches and we would have brought you his brains in a saucer.
Sounds like an amuse-bouche that Hannibal Lecter would have enjoyed. Gravedigger and Coffin Ed reveal that O'Malley fingered the Mafia and that they may be retaliating.
Where is he?
It is clear that Gravedigger and Coffin Ed are cool under pressure.
Hello, Betty?
Give me that. All right, O'Malley, do yourself a favor and come in. You bitch.
Or not! Jesus.
I got him, Iris. 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months. It's all the same. I'm nailing his ass to the wall.
Now, is that any way to treat Black Jesus? But I guess with the way things are going, if he did return...
Get off the boat before we sink him.
Insert appropriate "you sunk my battleship" joke here. Instead of O'Malley, we get a uniformed officer, Jarima, played by Dick Sable.
Ed? Digger?
Also, I love how he casually calls Gravedigger Digger. And it feels really obvious that he's itching to say something else. Something else Gravedigger is also aware of. Gravedigger and Coffin Ed are instructed to check out the site of that righteous car explosion. In turn, they instruct Jarima to keep an eye on Iris, as she is their only lead to O'Malley.
Watch her.
Be cool, brother. Jarima is hep.
Wow. A for effort?
She's a stone fox. Watch your ass.
Oh, Jarima. This is not going to end well, is it? Our detectives meet up with Lieutenant Anderson, played by Eugene Roche.
Where's the loot? Ask O'Malley.
If you haven't figured it out yet, Coffin Ed hates O'Malley.
Cotton from inside the meat truck.
One thing's for sure. It ain't drugstore cotton.
And now we have our next running gag.
Oh, it's a long time since I seen cotton like that.
The Chief, played by John Anderson, who was in hundreds of stage, movies, and TV shows, wants round-the-clock police protection on O'Malley as he views the events as an assassination attempt.
To hell with O'Malley!
Did I mention Coffin Ed really hates O'Malley? While Bryce, the captain, explains how much good O'Malley does for the community, Gravedigger has a look of, this motherfucker.
What the hell does the Attorney General, the State Department, or even the President of the United States know about one goddamn thing that's going on up here in Harlem?
What is it with you people?
I don't care if you're the chief of police. Choose your next words wisely.
We've been trying to teach white folks all our lives. School's over.
Some things just need to be repeated for the people in the back.
Yes?
Good afternoon, sister.
And what kind of trick are you trying to play on me, your old Uncle Tom?
Jesus, lady, save that vitriol for someone who actually deserves it. What? I'm not naming names. Yet.
All of you. Trying to steal my money.
Trying to steal your money?
Yes, trickers, that's what you are. Every one of you. Are you old fool?
Oh my god, I'm getting some real mad family reunion PTSD. But Church Lady is honestly one of my favorite parts of the film, and it's no wonder. She is played by the iconic Helen Martin, whose acting career spanned over 60 years, best known for her roles as Wanda on Good Times and as Pearl Shea on the sitcom 227.
Don't you think I got sense enough to know there ain't no such thing as a bale of cotton in Harlem?
Not acknowledging the obvious, even when there's irrefutable proof right in front of you. Wow, didn't think this movie would be so timely. She could have used that cotton to fix that backyard draft. We're thrust right into Harlem at night, where places like King Fu Chow Mein and Deacon Jones Sunday-style chicken reside. While on the hunt for a lead about the dead pickpocketer, Coffin Ed expresses his disdain for the chief so much that he considers quitting the force.
Quit this job.
All right. Now suppose you do quit. Suppose you tell them to take the badge and shove it. Who's going to pay your mortgage?
You?
And then who'll protect the black folks and the white folks?
Who's gonna protect the black folks from themselves?
Our detectives break into a Swahili lesson, led by the Harlem Neighborhood Protection Committee, and holy shit, it's Jim Kelly! Our Ron Van Cleef wannabe here points the detectives in the direction to find Lowboy, the local junkie.
Genji, Genji, Genji!
Well, that was the most violent way to remind someone to get milk at Walmart?
Mama Yako anatambwa napunda.
Where'd you learn them dirty Swahili words?
Ask your mama.
Now Shaft has a trailer hook.
If you want to see Shaft, ask your mama.
Jarima stops Iris from making an escape, and she goes off.
How long you gonna keep this up, copper?
Till it's over, sister.
You are really one ugly child.
I have a feeling Iris blasts NWA in her car.
If you wasn't, we could spend the time, doing the thing.
Oh God. You see where this is going, right?
Drop him, or I'll break your arm.
There's the 1970s police force I've been waiting for. On the set of Titanic, directed by Ryan Coogler, O'Malley is chilling out at Mabel Hills, the now widow of O'Malley's second-in-command. Mabel is played by Emily Yancey, actress and singer, who got her start on Broadway as Irene Malloy in the 1967 all-black version of Hello, Dolly opposite Cab Calloway. Her countless credits include Blackula, Sanford and Son, Different Strokes, and Criminal Minds. Quicker than P. Diddy rolling up on Faith Evans after Biggie Smalls passed, O'Malley is all over Mabel with total insincerity.
Funeral? The arrangements?
I didn't mean for that to be as timely as it is now. And let's get this out of the way. Calvin Lockhart plays an amazing sleazeball.
Do you need money?
All right, sir. You're everything John said you'd be.
Thank you, Mrs. Hill.
Sleazeball! While O'Malley preps his Harlem jackhammer, Jarima is being treated to the most awkward stripper dance in history. Wow, I hope this guy is not representative of the New York Police Department.
Gonna take a shower with me, white boy?
Oh God, this is not going to end well. O'Malley slithers his way into convincing Mabel to keep an ear on the streets for anything about the stolen money or her husband's killer.
I've got to find a place to stay.
Reverend O'Malley, why not stay here?
You're the devil.
You want to dry my back off, Copper? Hey, you gotta give a girl a minute.
There's something to be said about the power dynamics. One black woman using her sexuality over the white cop, and the other black woman being taken advantage of by the black preacher. There's a lot going on here. More people need to be talking about this movie.
They say the badder the woman, the better the smell. Come sniff.
All right.
Don't you want to take your clothes off?
Jarima's duh, oh yeah, look, kills me. And dude, don't. And turning out the lights before the boxers come off. And she still pulled out the bag.
Please.
And here it comes.
Hey, come back here, you.
What were you thinking was going to happen? While everyone is laughing at poor dumb Jarima, it is this guy who looks absolutely annoyed that he got woke up by a needle dick cop penis who steals the scene. Coffin Ed and Gravedigger arrive at Lowboys, who is either a junkie or was just bitten by Blackula, and is played by none other than Cleavon fucking Little. And yes, that is his full name. As this movie was coming out, Little was just receiving a Tony and Drama Desk Award for his acting in Pearly on Broadway. 4 years later, Little would land the role of a lifetime, one that Warner Brothers thought Richard Pryor was too raunchy for, as Sheriff Bart in Mel Brooks' game-changing Blazing Saddles.
Look what I got here. Hey, where are the white women at?
And Little acts his ass off in this scene, and that little editing touch to show Lowboy's emotional point of view sold that moment. And all I can think of is someone saw this.
Scotty, help me, I'm gonna die!
Lowboy lets the cat out of the bag. He saw white people escape from the armored truck, which throws Ed and Digger for a loop.
Asking you how you know they was white. They run white, damn it.
Then the movie does that. And you would think moments like that would make the movie tonally inconsistent, but in this world, it works. We get more contemplative scenes as Coffin Ed and Gravedigger wax philosophic over whether O'Malley's hustle is just the same as any other, or if it bites more because he's hustling his own people.
Beats me how you can find any good at all in the vicious son of a bitch.
Convicting the man without a trial, ain't you, God?
Remember, kids, this movie was made by African Americans over 50 years ago. Iris parks outside where O'Malley will be preaching next, notices something is rotten in Denmark, and pivots to the Apollo Theater, where I hope she isn't part of open mic night. Inside, we see a dancer who gets sour grapes over the amount of feathers in her outfit. We know Debbie Allen always wants more feathers in her shows.
You're going to wind up busting something right between your assets and your liabilities.
Dad jokes brought to you by Melanin.
Balloons, fans, feathers. I'm sick of them all. Uncle Tom is what they are. My dance has got to say something about my people, black people.
You could always say that the balloons, fans, and feathers represent ways that the black experience imagine themselves escaping the injustices they face. See? More feathers! Count Chocula tries to reassure our dancer Billy, played by Mabel Robinson, her only acting credit, but she assisted in choreographing The Wiz and Little Girl Blue.
We've got to set our people's minds to thinking. Get our own black thing together.
Yeah.
He heard none of that. Iris, who clearly read the notes about Debbie Allen's feather fetish, enters the scene to find a dress since a millimeter of cloth separates her from the Garden of Eden.
What happened at the rally? And where's Deke?
Oh, I don't know. Didn't he call you?
Barry is played by Theodore Wilson, best known for his recurring role as Earl the Postman on the sitcom That's My Mama, Sweet Daddy Williams on Good Times, and a whole slew of other television credits.
You must have left off in a big hurry. Yeah, you should have seen the other guy.
Yeah, he's too busy getting fired by the NYPD. He's not going to get fired, is he? Mabel, dressed to support the rights of Wakandans, enters in search of O'Malley, and she acts like she's never seen a male chest before. At the same time, O'Malley, because he's a douche canoe, literally attempts to take the place of Mabel's dead husband by dressing in one of his robes. Mabel informs O'Malley that the word on the street from whites in Harlem is that there is a reward for anyone who is able to locate a random bale of cotton in the city. This info gives O'Malley a sleazegasm as he realizes the money is stashed in the bale of cotton, while the very thought of bringing up her dead husband sends Mabel into a fit.
John, you look so much like me.
Oh, come on, Mabel. Not all black men look alike. Racist.
Mabel, but... who's gonna take care of me now that John's gone? Who's gonna love me?
God damn! Whatever track Mabel's husband laid down got her fiending like a Jodeci wet dream. Ah, the 90s. Fuck, I'm old. God damn, Mabel, your husband is barely cold.
Oh, shit! Oh,
Get me out of the way and shack it up with that chippy whore!
I can't be mad at Iris here.
Godfrey, she can't tell me that! Kill you!
That escalated quickly.
Black Judith!
O'Malley, seeing the mess he's caused, does what a sleazeball would do and bounces. I think my Uncle Danny exits a hotel where Gravedigger is waiting for him. Casper Brown is played by Maxwell Glanville, whose other credits include The Iceman Cometh. He talks a big game, but he's just a hood for the white mafia. Meanwhile, Bob Fosse cusses out the waitress at a restaurant. Clearly his feud with Debbie Allen is heating up. Once Gravedigger and Casper join Coffin Ed, the gang is all here for a good old-fashioned shakedown with the local mob boss Tom, played by Leonardo Cimino, best known in the 1983 science fiction miniseries V, and the 1987 feature film The Monster Squad as Scary German Guy. And oh my god, I love The Monster Squad, and I need to watch that again. Tom's reasoning for not being part of the violence at O'Malley's rally is that something so extreme would start a race war, and if he wanted to take O'Malley out, he could any time. Which, isn't that admitting to a lot of criminality? Meanwhile, poor old Uncle Bud is at the junkyard with his bale of cotton. So I guess he found a nice person to help him out with that, and he banters with Goodman, played by Lou Jacoby.
What the hell are you trying to do? 25. So!
After agreeing to sell the bale of cotton for $25, we see where Uncle Bud lives, and I can't imagine what the view is like with that amazing beachfront property. A goon comes in and introduces himself in the most pleasant manner.
You're the old geezer goes around picking up junk, right?
Uncle Bud plays dumb before locking himself in, where Barry of all people comes out to protect him.
Ain't you a long way from where you live? Was that black enough for you?
It ain't, but it's gonna be.
And now we have a song hook. O'Malley hits up the local chapter of the Ride On Brotherhood, where it's clear he doesn't know how to play pool to save his fucking life. And Calvin Lockhart is so good here, as he allows his reverend persona to melt away, and we just see how duplicitous of a person he really is. Barry lets O'Malley know he located the bale of cotton they've been looking for.
Where is that bale of cotton?
Goodman's junkyard.
Is that kosher enough for you?
I mean, you can plug in any culture in that phrase. Outside, our detectives are on the stakeout, using the stories of Brer Rabbit and Brer Fox as an allegory for how not to raid the place. They reach the junkyard, where people are finally looking for Kincaid's dead body from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4.
Your move, Mother Goose.
Okay. Stay put until you see the white of the rabbit's ass.
Okay. Is it rabbit season already?
Rabbit season! Duck season! Rabbit season! Duck season!
The crazies and the mafia goons arrive to break in, and it's a race against time between Gravedigger and Coffin Ed, the mob, and O'Malley and his henchmen. I love that even as a stealthy criminal mastermind, O'Malley still has to be pimped out. Of course, he looks like he's looking for Curious George, not 87 grand in a bale of cotton. I also dig the scored building, as we know all these characters are on a collision course, and the music reflects that.
White shit about to hit black face.
Sure, I'll roll with it. These are the most coordinated criminals I've ever seen. They must have been trained by Debbie Allen, too. A flare is set off, instigating a gunfight. Coffin Ed is just setting shit on fire, and goddamn, I think he blew up someone's dick! We finally get a good glimpse of the shooters, and yes, it was Whitey all along. Coffin Ed gets the drop on O'Malley, while Gravedigger gets the drop on the Mafia goon, which allows O'Malley to get the drop on Coffin Ed. No matter though, we got bad guys to murder the fuck out of. And Gravedigger becomes one of the first ever on-screen cops to shoot at a car, making it explode.
The White Fox?
It left the tracks across my behind. The Black Fox?
Likewise.
I just like their banter. The cops arrive to round out the bodies, and they still can't find Kincaid. They all have a conversation about the bale of cotton, why it's significant, and discover Uncle Bud returned to the junkyard and repurchased the bale for $30. Oh my god, guys, you could have simply just asked that, instead of incinerating a whole army. Leaping from the shadows like a banana-themed Inspector Gadget is O'Malley, who tries to play innocent when questioned.
What were you doing in the junkyard this hour of the night, Reverend? Holding a revival meeting?
Let me check the passive-aggressive meter. God! They're able to place O'Malley at Mabel's from a lighter he left there, and I love, love, love the match cut here.
That's police brutality.
No, brother. That's cancer prevention.
O'Malley is wet and glistening, like his head swallowed all the Jerry juice, and now it's rebelling against him as the walls begin to close. O'Malley thinks he has the final word on them all as he threatens to go to the mayor with his treatment, and this happens. That's the look of a man who knows he's about to be flayed alive, all in the name of Jesus. Iris lets the cat out of the bag of O'Malley's operation. The robbery was part of a plan to allow O'Malley to steal the money without discrediting himself, but that he was double-crossed by Calhoun. She even fingers him for Mabel's attempted murder.
You could have been another Marcus Garvey or even another Malcolm X. But instead you ain't nothing but a pimp with a chicken shit backbone.
Ouch. And I love how O'Malley plays it off like, yeah, I know I'm scum of the earth, but fuck what? Coffin Ed suggests to hold O'Malley for 24 hours, and the little smirk he gives as he thinks of the torture it will cause for O'Malley is one of the best bits of subtle acting. An officer bursts in to inform everyone that Uncle Bud's place has been ransacked and he is presumed dead.
Saw that white joker last night. You identify him?
I don't know, Lieutenant. Maybe yes, maybe no. All those kind of people look alike to me.
Didn't we just go over this? As we pass by the first Negro mobile bake sale, actually acolytes drawn to O'Malley's cause marching to protest his incarceration, and we get another brilliant visual representation of the black community at that time, in the face of the ills of the community, drugs, street hustling, militants, etc. These people of faith are unyielding in their belief in a non-violent solution to rooting out these issues. Also, these people are just dicks. The chief instructs that they get as many police on the line as quickly as possible, and of course, he's a Nixon fan. I also love the statement this movie makes about the cult of personality. Wait for it. This moment captures the spirit of protest, but also the danger of how the message can get lost when it is behind the wrong person, or what happens when people share the same immediate goal, but have differing worldviews or experiences.
What the hell's going on here? Riot!
No, it is not a riot. See, that's how problems start. And of course Jarima is locked up. Good. He deserves it.
Block area, Commissioner. What are you standing there for? Get out and get those wave guns!
Jesus, you guys are overreacting a bit.
Hold them
Okay. Maybe they're a little justified.
Now that I have your attention, let's bow our heads.
Wait, did you break that window? They give Jarima a gun and no way out, and he basically pledges his life to O'Malley. I assume he thinks that will be sufficient atonement for trying and failing to fuck his mistress.
And I'll protect you with the last breath of my body.
Oh, I know you will, officer.
Grrr! Slime ball! Coffin Ed and Gravedigger practice horrible line etiquette, and what the fuck, he has firecrackers! What's even better is that the residents of Harlem don't even flinch.
Hey, we know what you cops do in the precinct basement.
Hardcore strip monopoly?
How do we know Dick O'Malley ain't dead?
Yeah, 'cause I say he ain't. And I'm the doctor.
Just cool as shit, man. And we start to see the split in the protesters and the very real admittance of some who are anti-O'Malley, as they were swindled, and what a turn when people talk about burning the precinct down. Not to release a wrongfully jailed political prisoner, but to release a grifter to face street justice.
Dick and I are going to do our damnedest to get your money back. We promise.
Promises? How was promises?
Anybody out there ever heard of Coffin Ed or the Gravedigger make a promise we didn't keep?
And what a moment that is, to really hammer home that these are no ordinary detectives, but the fabric of their very morality is interwoven within Harlem, and the audience understands how deep the trust is between these specific cops and the community. Just want to know where that pie came from. Saturday morning cartoon. I should be eating a big bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch right about now. It really seems as the more the movie goes on, the sweatier O'Malley gets. Bryce calls in Gravedigger and Coffin Ed to scold them.
You're out of your minds, both of you. So do you have to play with that thing?
I'm insecure, Captain.
The chief takes them off the case, and their reaction is surprising.
Thank you, sir. You want us off the case? You got us off.
Bella Negrosi meets his adoring fans and is greeted by Black Shriners, I think, who tell him they have the bale of cotton he's looking for. To bait O'Malley, Coffin Ed has the jail release Iris, under a disguise, who still makes Jarima her bitch. And apparently Blofeld has a secret hideout in Harlem. Iris finds O'Malley tied up by Calhoun, and for her troubles is captured as well. O'Malley is sweating the Pacific Ocean over here. O'Malley's double-crossing partner Calhoun, played by J.D. Cannon, is best known for his co-starring role as Chief of Detective Lester B. Clifford in the television series McCloud with Dennis Weaver, and for his part as the witness Lloyd Chandler, who cleared Dr. Richard Kimball in the series finale of The Fugitive. But the only thing being cleared here is a fist!
Partner!
Calhoun ransoms O'Malley's life for the entirety of the money stashed in the cotton, and even Iris is like, what the fuck is going on here?
Cotton? Is that what this is all about?
Yeah. You know something?
Yeah, I know where it's at.
Salty to the bitter end. Wait, salt isn't bitter? Salt is salty! Who wrote this goddamn script? I work with amateurs.
What you ought to do is, blow that mother's brains out.
Bitter to the salty end. Wait. Fuck! Just before Iris is given the chance to murder another person, Calhoun and the gang head up to see what they're hearing from above.
Iris, sweetheart, baby, you found it. You found that bale of cotton.
I shiced her to the bitter end. Hey, I got one!
Cut these ropes.
Jesus, dude. You really don't see what's about to happen? Dumbest con man ever. Iris threatens to chop off O'Malley's deek, then realizes taking away his voice would in fact be worse punishment. But O'Malley, that supervillain, always has a card up his sleeve, or down his pockets. Our detectives and Calhoun get into a shootout in a church because nothing is sacred. And I've heard of being on fire for the Lord, but this is ridiculous.
God damn it.
Another fine mess you got us into.
I got us into. Shut up and shoot.
And now we have a trailer hook. Gravedigger and Coffin Ed finds Iris, enchanted by a big fucking rock.
Where's the door? Hey, baby, let's move it.
First-class detective work. Cops are summoned to the church that is on fire, but before we head that way, I'd like to check out Putney Swope. We do make a stop at the Apollo, where Billy is engaging in some racist caricature work. Oh!
But when Cotton come to Harlem, here comes Cotton. We kick Cotton's ass. We kick Cotton's ass.
Billy is indeed kicking Cotton's ass, as she is dancing to Cotton Comes to Harlem, written by Golf McDermott and Joseph S. Lewis, and powerfully sung by George Tipton. This is the most socially conscious burlesque show that has ever existed. 2 tits out and 2 black power fists up in the air. Calhoun is thrown out into the stage and, oh lord, even if he was set up to be in blackface, this is some heavy shit. Again, O'Malley tries to slither his way out by convincing the audience that Calhoun stole the Black Beauty money and offers him up for the Apollo crowd to rip him apart. And it's the Apollo Theater. If there is anywhere that is going to tear someone limb from limb, it's there.
Throw him back! He's mine.
I love how upset the Apollo crowd is that they can't engage in the black version of Murder on the Orient Express.
Fly this mother to the moon!
This is how the movie Soul Man should have ended. Only in this movie would we see, after an arrest, the arresting officer joining in on the next act. Meanwhile, O'Malley is possessed by a Candyman to find the money, but is confronted by Coffin Ed. What a shot with O'Malley in the wicker chair, evoking memories of Huey Newton. More people need to see this movie!
When you steal money from white folks, that's your business. But when you steal from blacks, that's my business. Now, black people been exploited by white people. Filth like you come along. Skin them some more. Judgment Day.
I'll never show my face in Harlem again as long as I live. That's what you want, ain't it?
No. I want you.
For God's sake, give me a chance. I could be another Garvey man, another Malcolm.
That ship has sailed.
Move this man!
I love this final confrontation between Coffin Ed and O'Malley. It's raw, unrehearsed, and desperate.
No!
Iris comes guns blazing, but is subdued, and even Jarima gets a bit of a complete arc as he is finally able to capture Iris after being embarrassed.
It's in the bed.
God damn, O'Malley looks like he was caught escaping a cotton plantation. While the Apollo Theater turns into Sunday service, O'Malley stumbles on stage.
I just want to talk to you for a minute.
He'll hang himself.
O'Malley pleads with the crowd, but it's the Apollo Theater. They can boo you and break your career, but if they turn their backs, you might as well find a tight noose.
Listen, I can be like Malcolm.
One person that might still get strung up is Jarima, who discovers there is no money in the bale of cotton. Coffin Ed and Gravedigger approach Tom to blackmail him for the missing $87,000.
There's a whole lot of money in just being black these days. So there gotta be some way.
Poor Jarima is so confused over the money appearing that he goes full 12 years a slave.
You tricked me. I don't know how you two black bastards did it, but you tricked me.
But where is the $87,000 that was originally in the bale of cotton?
If you are ever in this neck of the woods, please drop in and see me.
Yours truly, better known as Old Uncle Bud.
It looks like that cotton bailed Uncle Bud out of a bad situation.
Move this man!
And with that, Coffin Ed and Gravedigger drives off into the Harlem streets and end scene. Cotton Comes to Harlem employed many local residents as extras and crew in the Harlem neighborhood where it was filmed. This helped put a positive spotlight on Harlem, which was riddled with crime in the early 1970s. Cotton Comes to Harlem is hailed by many as the first blaxploitation film, although it really depends on who you ask. Some consider Cotton Comes to Harlem as an action comedy that was actually just the prototype for buddy action comedies like 48 Hours and Lethal Weapon, just with a bit of racial commentary sprinkled in. Cotton Comes to Harlem expresses black power through self-determination. Gravedigger and Coffin Ed tirelessly work throughout the movie to prove that the black community was being taken advantage of, and by the end of the film, they gain the respect of white officers and are able to demand $87,000 from the white mafioso who runs the Harlem Rackets. Film critic Vincent Canby of the New York Times was unimpressed with the film, stating that the film is cold and witless and is strictly for people who don't care much about movies or who persist in regarding movies as sociology. Vincent Canby, you're a dick. Produced on a budget of $1.2 million, it earned $5.2 million in theatrical rentals during its North American release, making it the 22nd highest-grossing film of 1970. Cotton Comes to Harlem is one of the most commercially successful films Hollywood produced in the 1970s, starring a predominantly black cast. The film was one of the many black films that appeared in the 1970s, eventually becoming a cult classic. Cotton Comes to Harlem inspired more black films during the 1970s, including more action-packed numbers such as Shaft and Superfly. What makes this movie brilliant are the little moments that seems would have been only captured by a movie made in the 1970s that fill the world with great visual, emotional cues. Whether it's the pause in Ed's step when Gravedigger accuses him of being too quick to convict without due process, the quick insert shots of Lowboy remembering his friend's final moments, or the immediate lunge Coffin Ed makes at O'Malley in the junkyard, the film and Ossie Davis's eye perfectly captures the spirit of Harlem in 1970. I didn't live there. I wasn't even born yet. But I believe this Harlem exists. I feel the weight of its environment and its people, and the threads that hold its community together, both positive and negative. Yes, it has a wicked watermelon joke, but it also has something very real in its cynicism to say about preying on a community's shared anxieties and false hopes, and how much more that kind of tragedy is compounded when it is perpetrated by one of their own. Because of strong artistic differences between Ossie Davis and MGM, Ossie Davis did not return to direct a sequel. The eventual sequel, Come Back, Charleston Blue, loosely based on Chester Himes' The Heat's On, with much original material injected, ended up being directed by Mark Warren and was released in 1972. It opened to mixed reviews, with critics feeling it was decent, but not as game-changing as the original 1970 film. And here's how I would rate Cotton Comes to Harlem out of 5 Black Power fists. Story: 4 out of 5. Cotton Comes to Harlem is a great example of a movie studio getting out of the way of the creative process, and what we get here is a great adaptation of Chester Himes' novel with a great story that tackles several issues that befell the black community at the time. It is action-packed, funny, thought-provoking, and just a lot of fun. Filmmaking: 4 out of 5. Ossie Davis and his team knew exactly what they were doing, making this picture, and the competent shows, with a great underappreciated script, bang-up acting from all involved, some brilliant cinematography and editing, and great music that ties it all together. Soundtrack: 4 out of 5. And speaking of music, this is a great soundtrack with socially conscious songs that do more than just add some life to the film. It propels the plot forward. Garth McDermott, Ossie Davis and others collaborated to produce memorable music, and the hard work pays off here. Black Power, 5 out of 5. Coffin Ed and Gravedigger don't take no jive from anyone. Cops, the mob, criminals, scam artists, our main detectives have agency and intelligence, and their entire purpose revolves around protecting and enriching the lives in Harlem, and they are just a force to be reckoned with. And we get those songs and that final dance routine kicking Cotton's ass. Mwah! Negative stereotypes, 4 out of 5. There aren't many negative stereotypes in Cotton Comes to Harlem. O'Malley is a shyster, but that is obviously integral to the plot. Most other negative stereotypes aren't around long enough to matter, are used as cannon fodder for comedy, or in the case of Lowboy, a truly tragic figure to highlight the ills of the black community. Influence, 5 out of 5. Cotton Comes to Harlem is one of those movies where its influence really wasn't felt until after the Blaxploitation craze ended, and historians started studying black film and media. While most cite Shaft as the official start of the Blaxploitation era, critics are going back further and are discovering films like Cotton Comes to Harlem, The Learning Tree, and Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song as the powerful and truly influential films that they are. Whether you classify Cotton Comes to Harlem as blaxploitation, pre-blaxploitation, or just a fun action comedy that so happens to be also about the black experience, this film's influence is wide-reaching. Overall fun factor, 5 out of 5. Cotton Comes to Harlem starts up fast and furious and never lets up. Every scene has at least one memorable or quotable moment, and I can hang out with Coffin Ed and Gravedigger Jones all day with their philosophical banter, blowing shit up, and dry wit and sarcasm. Throw in some truly great performances, direction, and music, and we have all the ingredients for a great time at the movies. And that was Cotton Comes to Harlem, a great movie, whether you want to classify it as blaxploitation or not. And like I said, I'm really trying to make it my mission to make sure as many people as possible know about this movie. This is the Lord's work I'm doing. This was an exhaustive episode, and I'm really tired. To calm myself down, I got myself a new vape pen. Really excited. Really?
Well, where the hell are you going?
Well, ain't this the going back to Africa rally?
This is the going home rally. Now move it.